Welcome parents and students to this instructional video about word study. So in school this year we implemented a new word study or phonics program, but to supplement that and to provide differentiation, some teachers at school continue to use the Words Their Way program here and there to help differentiate for the learners in our classroom. So today I'm going to explain to you and teach you how we did word study in school, and then I will send an email with the materials so that you can continue to do this at home if you would like. So the students will be used to seeing something like this. Every week we would start with a new group of words, or we called it a new sort, and each sort is characterized by something in particular. So the one I'm going to do as my demonstration, which is the one I suggest you do at home to start off, it's one that we already did in the main group in the class, did it a couple weeks before we left school, but it will be a good review. So these are short A, E, and I words with beginning digraphs. A digraph is when two letters are together and their sound changes. So TH, th, CH, ch, WH, and SH, sh. Okay, so those are beginning digraphs. They will be working with these same words over the course of a week or 5 days and doing all different kinds of activities with these words. So, generally speaking, over the course of the week, on day 1, we cut out the new words. On day 2, we write the words in columns in our notebooks. I'll show you how we do that. On day 3, we do activity on the back of the mat, which is the activity on the back of this, what we call a sorting mat. There's usually, oops, it's not on the back, of course, silly me, because of the having to scan it, but I'll show that to you later. And day 4, write in columns again, so they get practice doing that twice, and then on the final day they get to glue. So this is the activity that varies every day. But what the students do every single day with these words, every single day, let me put this up a little bit. Every single day they sort the words. That is, they're going to sort the words onto this sorting mat according to the feature that we're looking for. They say it as you lay it. So they're going to say the words while they're sorting. Then they read all the words to a buddy. They explain why the words go together. And then when it says read it as you write it, it just means that whenever else you're doing an activity that involves writing the words, you want to be sure to be reading them also. So let me go ahead and show you how this works. Okay, so on day 1, of course, the very first thing we have to do is cut out the new words so that we're able to work with them. And I have this thing with the kids where I tell them to make the snake. You know, if you have, 23 or 24 kids all cutting stuff at the same time, you want to keep things tidy. So when I say make the snake, it means cutting around the whole group of words first. Hold on, let me get this back up again. Cutting around the whole group of words first before we start cutting them into pieces. And another thing, just a reminder that in the classroom, whenever I'm observing the students cutting, I positively reinforce to always be pointing away. So if your student is cutting like this towards their hand, please remind them, oh, always cut away from your hand. So to make the snake, we cut around the outside of the words, turn it, grab it there, keep cutting, turn, and turn. So that is what we call make the snake. So I have just one nice long easy piece of paper to walk off and put in the recycle bin instead of a bunch of little pieces, and that keeps the classroom tidy, and maybe your house too. Okay, so then we go ahead and cut our words. Now what some of the kids like to do is stack them like this and then cut across. I don't always recommend that because sometimes they're slightly different sizes and they mess up, but in this case it should work, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. for efficiency. Okay, so now I have my words, and of course, as I've said many times before, you want to be sure that the students know it all, that your student knows what the words mean, right? Students shouldn't be working with words that they don't know what they mean. So I'll leave that up to you. If you see them working with words, if you know that there's a word there that you think maybe they're not sure what it is, you would want to stop and explain and make sure they understand that. Okay, so I just adjusted the camera a little so that we could see better. So here we are sorting for a, so that little mark above it means it's the short vowel sound, a, I words with beginning digraphs. So basically the child will just say, oh, that, a, that, I. Oh, that goes with a. Chat. Oh, that means to talk, right? So again, if you're not sure if the child knows what the word means, you want to remind them when you see them doing this. Chat, at. Chill. It. Chill. Thick. So what you want to be sure to notice that the students are actually saying the word and then placing it. Because what kids will sometimes do is they'll just look at the middle letter, they'll just look and say, oh, that's an E, I'm just going to put it there. And of course the point is they need to say it as they lay it, right? That's the big rule here. Say it as you lay it. Say it as you lay it, okay? So you'll go ahead and let them sort the whole thing. Them, them. Until they've sorted the whole mat. So here you can see all the words are sorted, and as soon as they finish sorting them, they need to read all the words to a buddy. So once they get it all sorted, again, this is to cultivate automaticity. The next step would be to just quickly read them to whoever's listening. Or sometimes we would say, oh, read it to the table, because everybody else is trying to read theirs. So they would just quickly go, that, chat, van, chap, shack, wham, shall. Them, shed, then, chest, shell, check, when. Chill, thick, thin, whip, ship, chick, whiz. Okay? Then, every day, they need to explain why the words go together. So we would say, all these words go together because the middle sound is a. All these words go together because the middle sound is e. All these words go together because the middle sound is I, right? And in this sort, what we are sorting by is the middle sound. There's some other word work that we do where we're looking at the ending sound of a word. That's what we did mostly through the beginning of the school year. But at this time in the school year, we're looking more at the middle, the sounds in the middle. Okay, and then we've just done day 1. We cut out our new words. Day 2. If it were day 2, we would write the words in columns, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do using a book, the kind of word study book that we used in class. But of course, it's not necessary to use this special book. You can just do this on a piece of paper at home. But I'm just going to show you using the book because it's pretty easy to pick up a composition book like this, right? And this way, if you wanted to, you could do this to reinforce this routine, or you can just use a piece of paper. So basically, we tell the kids to go to the next. We push the sort a little up so it's out of our way. Oops. And we get our book in front of us, and we turn to the next empty page. Okay, so let's see, that person did some work there, so here's the next empty page. And I'm going to adjust the camera again so that we can see better. Just a sec. Okay, so to prepare a page to write in columns, what you do is you fold the page. We call this folding hot dog style. You fold the edge of the page into the center of the book, and then you press down. So that way you end up with a line here, and you don't have to draw lines. And we've got 1, 2, 3 groups of words, so we're going to need 3 columns to write this week's words. So we're going to have to do this side also. So if you notice, I have space for 1, 2, 3 columns of words, and this is just going to be nothing. And at the top, I write the header according to what the sort is. So in this case, I'm going to write, and this is copied from the top here, a, I. Okay? So I'm going to write a, I. And I'm using a pen so that you can see easier, but you would, students would probably be using a pencil. So basically, you just go, the students are writing the words. Again, remember though, they should be, read it as you write it. They should be reading the words as they write them. So they just go from the top. And at this point, you probably want to have a Ziploc bag handy for them to put away their words. Maybe some students like to write a word and put it away. Some students like to write a whole column. It's really up to the student how well organized they can be. So I'm going to take the first one, that. Okay, I start at the red margin and I write that. Okay, and then if I like to do them like this, one by one, then I go ahead and put that in the bag. I know I wrote that one. Next one, chat. At chat, and I put that in the bag. Next one, van. Okay, and then you continue that until you've done all the words. Oh, and usually to remind us that we're not using this column, we just put an X there. And notice that, again, I'm starting at the margin and I'm skipping a line between each word. Okay, let me show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like when the words have all been written. So again, this is write words in columns. That's what this activity is. And if you notice, again, we're writing along the margin. Here, in this case, you're writing kind of along this fold, right? The fold helps guides the student to write them in a straight line. Okay, so this is something that would be done twice a week. If it were day three is do the activity on the back of the mat. So the day after they write in columns, they do something different. We say on the back of the mat because in class, when we were doing this in school, this sorting mat is double-sided. It has the activity on the back of the mat. But for students learning at home now, you'll have just a separate paper like this. And so this is the activity on the back of the mat that the student would do. And they can just read the instructions. I'm sorry that in the scanning, the lines here are not too evident, but maybe the student can write it without lines, or you can draw some lines in for them. So it says, say each short vowel word. Print the word in the box that shows its short vowel sound. So again, this is like sorting the words, except the student is writing them. And I always tell them in class to cross them out as they use them. So for example, the student would have this word here. They would be there at the top. It says them. So I'm going to write that here. And again, I'm always going to read it as I write it. Them. And then I'm going to cross that off. Okay, and then the next one, whip, that goes over here. Whip. And then I'm going to cross it off. So they would do this whole page, end up with these all crossed off, and that is the day 3 activity. Day 4, they just write words in columns again. So that day 4, they go back to using this book or on a piece of paper, whatever you've decided to do at home, and they would just repeat. They would just practice writing the words over again. And if that sounds a little tedious to you, some students really like this. Some students think it's okay. Some students don't like it so much. But it really is worthwhile for the students to every single day, if they're doing this correctly, if we're doing this in class correctly and we've had the time to do what we're supposed to do, every day they will be working with this group of words and constantly reading them, writing them, and identifying them by a particular characteristic. Because every day they're going to sort, say it as you lay it, read all the words to a buddy, explain why they go together, and then read it as you write it. In addition to, oh, let me also add, so then the last day is glue, day 5 is glue, and that just means that on that day, after they sort all the words on the mat, and they say it as they lay it, and they read it to a buddy, and they explain why the words go together, right, because they do this every day, then they just get to glue the words on here because they're finished, and they would turn this in, and that would be done for the week. The other supplemental activities that you would do that go along with the sort are varied. In our classroom, we have bags of these words of the different sorts. So something the kids might do a couple of times in the week is go get the bag and get a buddy, and then they'll speed read these words to each other. Again, it's just developing automaticity and being able to quickly read these words. So that's something that your child could do. You know, every other day say, oh, well, what do you want to do for your extra word study activity? You could speed read the words. Another thing you can do, which I will attach, is from this one is from the word work packet that we sent home on the last day of school. And these correlate, these are connected very directly to the sorts. The numbers are different. Don't worry about that. But so, see, this says short AIE with initial digraphs. Initial digraphs. Short AEI with beginning digraphs, right? It's the same. So these activities, there's 4 little pages, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. These are activities that your child could also do over the course of the week that positively reinforce these words, okay? So basically, for word study, every day your child is sorting on the mat, say it as you lay it, read the words to a buddy explaining why. Then, for the writing portion of the activity, they write in columns, do the activity on the back of the mat, something like this, write in columns again, and then additionally, they would be doing these as you see fit, okay? So, I hope you can enjoy using these materials. I think they're really useful to encourage real automaticity in the reading and writing and spelling of these words. And then also, too, if you want to get creative, if your child has already done this and they want to do something else with the words, yeah, they can do things like, oh, you know, pick 3 words or 4 words or 5 words and write sentences using the words. Just any opportunity to reinforce the group of words that are being used that week is helpful for your child. What I will do is the materials that I'll send out right now for the main part of the class, everybody should be able to use those. And then I'll have to consider, I know there were some students that were doing somewhat harder sorts, so I'll have to figure out if there's a way that I can differentiate for some of them. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed learning about word study, and it's a great activity to help your students with their word work and getting better with words. Thanks a lot. Bye.